Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to GameStar TV and round number 4 of week number 2 of the Blizzard ANZ Season 4 qualifiers coming through to you right now. And as we said, as we announced earlier on during the break, we're going to be bringing you Mad Because Bad versus FTD. Now, ordinarily, we don't like to feature the same team more than once if we can work it that way, but we had to make a call. FTD is a new team. They have been romping their way through the bracket tonight, picking up 3 wins out of 3 matches. So we've got to get them on stream for your viewing pleasure. Now, Kid Fox, you were having a look at their roster before and noticed something about the players.
They are old school heroes of the Stormers, Crisis. They have got the names like Exhibit, Holy Grail, Yarn, Tool Dealer, and we're waiting for their 5th to come in. And if you're anybody in the scene, you know these names. Keen! Oh my god, okay. So we've got some celebrities, some OG celebrities here on the side of FTD. It's great that they've actually made their romp back into the competitive scene. They're going up against Mad Cos Bad, who came out with a good win over Team Milkshake, one of their arch nemesis, you could say, from the previous week. But this one is going to be amazing. FTD are yet to drop a game to anybody this week in their first week of the competition. Well, at all. In the first week at all. We haven't seen them for a while. Holy Grail, I think, played in a couple teams in the previous seasons, but this is their first time as a unit. And as we go to Brax's Holdout, the map which saw Darksided come undone against Crimson, this one is going to be game of the night. GL Phoenix, don't you think so?
Oh, this is going to be a real spicy one, as you said. These lineups are looking real good, and we saw in the previous game, Mad Because Bad put up a very strong showing, and now they've got a new contender to work with. And this FTD lineup, as you mentioned, has got some real big names, and very, very interested to see how this goes, because Braxis, it can really get some fireworks. As I was saying earlier, as we're waiting for this round to start, Braxis can kind of be a bit of a snowballing map, but then it's either a snowball or it ends up turning into a bit of a fiesta. There's very little variance in that regard, so we could see kind of anything, really.
So Dahaka is now being hovered for the ban for Mad Cos Bad. They're on the blue team. No, maybe they'll go for Genji. Who knows? We've seen Genji a fair bit tonight, but they don't want to deal with the Cyborg Ninja, the better of the two Shimada brothers, let's be totally honest. But now FTD, it's their turn to ban. So coming on to Brax's Holdout, we saw that Mad Cos Bad were hovering over the Dahaka before. Do you reckon Global Pressure has as much importance on Braxis as the other maps?
It may not have nearly as much pressure, priority as it would on, say, something like a Curse Hollow or a Dragonshire, as we've been seeing throughout the night, but you can still get a lot of value out of a Dahaka pick just because of the amount of maneuverability he has around the map, with a lot of bushes around the map, with a lot of those really sneaky ganking paths that he can go through. He can really be around the map very, very quickly, and can get a lot of work done, and he is no slouch in a 1v1, which we usually do see. It is a map where that usually gets split into a 4-1, and the Dahaka can usually handle himself quite well in most matchups, but it is going to be the Oriole first pick for Mad Because Bad, and we saw in the last map, got a lot of work done, and they're looking to get that work going again.
So Chromie being taken off the board for the FTD lads. And Chromie's really good on Braxis Holdout because she can bully the beacons extremely well. You can throw down those slowing sands to trap them in there, and then it's just sand blast dunks for days. And if there's anything to go by, last week we saw Zep Lion and he was absolutely filthy on it. Alas, Pocket Me Lighter didn't feature this week, neither will Chromie. So sad face on my end, but nonetheless, let's see what they pick. Anubarak and Valor will be locked in for FTD.
Yeah, getting those very solid picks, and also it does remove one of the battery options from that Oriole. I mean, I was talking about in the previous draft, there are still more options to work with to go with an Oriole. And this is a map where even Gul'dan is a potential. I mean, he is one of the when you talk about batteries for an Oriole, he has been one of the picks that has been in that little slot for quite some time. And this is one of the maps where he can get a lot of value, where you do want that wave clear, especially when we start seeing these Zerg waves start barreling down. He can clear those out rather efficiently, and he would work he would kind of fit in very well into this kind of lineup.
especially if he goes for the Echoed Corruption build. I mean, if you get that relatively early and you throw that out on top of the beacon, it's really, really difficult to deal with. And especially, I mean, even if you go Pursuit of Flame, I mean, Gul'dan just finds so much value. One of my personal favorite mages. Let's see what the Mad Cos Bad Lads lock in. They're going to go safe. They're going to go Oriel, Uther, Dahaka to start things off. So nothing too unconventional there, GL Phoenix. Very stock standard picks.
Yeah, it is going to be that Dahaka, which we were mentioning at the start of the draft, who will have a lot of that global pressure and will have a reasonable amount of pressure just in that solo lane, unless the side of FTD just take a pick to kind of just bully him out. Something like a Sonya or even like a Malthael, which do quite well in those 1v1 matchups. But yeah, we've got the double support setup already on the side of Mad Because Bad. They went for a double support setup in the previous round, but it was the Karazim as the Uther was banned out, and that is going to be that Gul'dan banned away, but there are still some options to work with. The Lunara is something that I'm really looking towards as a potential battery for Mad Because Bad.
So Malthael taken off the board as well as Gul'dan. So we won't be seeing our Warlock friend gracing the fields of Braxis hold out in the Nexus. Let's see what FTD pick to complement this Vala-Anubarak combo. They still need their support, so Rhaegar is almost a gimme at this point, unless you go for somebody like the Malfurion. We did see Brightwing just before. There we go. Old Malf being locked in. Now, what else do they need? They could use another DPS or support, and they're going to go for Tassadar, who we rarely see fall through. I think he fell through once, but other than that, he has found game time every single time so far.
Absolutely. He's pretty much just a staple of drafting at this stage of the game, and it is going to allow that little bit of extra protection for that Valor to allow him to play a little bit more forward and get a lot of pressure down onto the backline of that Mad Because Bad lineup. But now we have to see how they end up rounding out their composition. They need that battery, they need that DPS, and they also need an actual frontline warrior. The Dahaka, yes, he's a warrior and can take a bit of a beating, but he's not necessarily that frontline warrior that you want to be relying on in those certain situations. He's good at ganking, he's good at flanking, but as a solo warrior, as a frontliner, he kind of doesn't have that same presence as some of the other ones.
Good at ganking, good at flanking, not the best at tanking. So let's see if they get Arthas or somebody like that, maybe the Diablo. Old Dibbles, we haven't seen him for a while, but Muradin's going to be locked in, and the Leaping Lunara. Now, I like this. Lunara is a good battery choice for Oriel. I don't really know if anybody else is. I mean, Dahaka would probably be your next crown choice. So if they can take away Lunara, they can neutralize a lot of the heals that Oriel would be able to put out, but they do also have the Uther just to back that up a little bit. So I don't mind the draft from Mad Cos Bad. Let's see what FTD pick to round out their composition.
Yeah, and we even saw it in the last round. They put a lot of their eggs in the Valor basket. If the Valor goes down, a lot of the composition just falls apart. It did happen once, but apart from that, they were able to play it very well. Very similar situation here as well, where you had the Lunara who's going to be outputting a lot of the damage and also giving a lot of the hope for Oriel so she can pump out the healing as well. They do, as you mentioned, they do have a better, more consistent healer coming out of the Uther, but here we go. We got real spicy towards the end of this draft with the Rexxar really wanting to dominate that 1v1 in the top lane. I was mentioning it earlier, the Dahaka has a lot of good matchups and he can just either neutralize a lane or even just bully him out. But Rexxar, he and his very trusty pal Misha is going to make it a little bit rough for him.
Interesting, to say the least. I would have thought that they would have gone for another solid frontliner. I mean, Arthas fell through. They were just going to give it to Anubarak. I was not expecting Rexxar in a million years, but hey, I love meta-breaking picks. Let's see if it can find some value. I mean, he's pretty good at bullying those beacons down as well. I mean, Rexxar with Misha, especially if you go for, I think it's the Husbandry build.
Husbandry at 4, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, that Misha just becomes extremely tanky, and then you can basically sit back and let Misha do your dirty work for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I've seen a Rexxar in game, so it wasn't something I was expecting coming into this. I mean, when you look at Rexxar maps and as odd as it is, this is one of the maps that Rexxar does kind of favor. It's this one and like Dragonshire, because as you mentioned, does do quite well fighting around those shrines where, or the beacons where Misha can stand on the point while Rek'Sai is still clearing the lane and applying pressure in that way, or vice versa.
So it's going to be Mad Cos Bad versus FTD in the potential final round of the night, if we don't have a tiebreaker, that is. It is going to be Mad Cos Bad on blue, Tanner on Dahaka, Olgi Muradin, Helium on Uther, Jester on Oriel, and Tagiza on Lunara, and FTD are red GLP.
Yeah, and we have Yarn on the Rek'Sai, Exhibit is on Anubarak, Holy Grail is on Tassadar, Tool Dealer is on Malfurion, and Keen is going to be on the Valor.
So Yarn needs to be careful because Tanner's about to face check the bush, gets the tongue off and drags him back in. Across comes Misha. Rek'Sai is extremely squishy, especially at these early stages of the game. He throws out a couple axes just for good measure. Meanwhile, down in the bot lane, there is another tit for tat going on. It's a 4v4 down there. The Psionic Storm's coming out left, right, and center from Holy Grail. Keen on that Valor, turning the attention on to both Lunara and the Oriel, taking a fair bit of damage, forced to bolt away now. Exhibit landing those impales, but Gee with the Thunderclap just being a nuisance there on the Muradin. Hasn't really landed a major Stormbolt as yet. There's still plenty of time for that. Oh, good Impale! Lands 3! But these poisons from Lunara onto Giza are just finding their mark and are savage at this point.
Yeah, and the big difference I'm seeing in this 4v4 right now is that the wave clear is just far superior on the side of FTD. They're able to push in these waves, and essentially they're acting almost like another member for when we're getting into these little trades here and there. It's just the members of Mad Because Bad aren't able to clear it out efficiently enough, and they're just fighting into a mini wave, and they're taking damage from that. But they do have the very consistent healing, as Holy Grail takes so much damage from this Lunara, and they just don't have the same level of healing from a Malfurion and Tazza as there is from an Oriel and an Uther.
Well, Tool Dealer was, we retreated a little bit there, but these blossoms from Lunara, Noxious Blossom is just finding so much value here at the moment, already forcing 2 players to go back to base from FTD. This is good for Mad Cos Bad. They're going to take the early advantage. Meanwhile, on the top lane, Yarn on the Rek'Sai is doing work. He's going to control that top beacon. Meanwhile, Mad Cos Bad will take the bottom beacon. They're going to trade. Nobody's going to really gain any progress onto the Zerg Rush just yet.
Yeah, and that's essentially what we're expecting out of this top lane matchup. We're expecting the Rek'Sai to just maintain complete control over that beacon thanks to Misha, while Yarn is going to be using Rek'Sai himself in the lane to at least mitigate any kind of push from the Dahaka, and now we're getting a nice little tongue drag as the fight is going massively on the bottom side.
Yeah, there's a bit of a damage deal going down on the bottom lane. Tool Dealer, good detainment strike comes out there from Jester, and he manages to find Exhibit, who forced to burrow charge in. Now he's got no escape, but impales 3 on his retreat. Oh, gee, just dwarf tosses away by the skin of his teeth, but a good drag coming in from Dahana using that Brush Stalker. He's given up on the top. They need to take this bottom one. Didn't get any frags. That is a global down from Dahaka. Now he walks all the way back up into the top lane to deal with Misha.
Yeah, it was a nice Brush Stalker down. Almost managed to get one of those nice kills, but it is just going to be mitigating a lot of the pressure, and it is going to be neutralizing those beacons, but as you mentioned, with that global down, he is going to be forced to just walk his way back. But because of all of the brushes that are just scattered all over the map, he is rather quick at getting up there, as now he's going very low, but the healing is just enough to get him out of there in time.
Tell you what, you're lucky you have double healers on your team, Tagiza. Uther and Oriel just keeping Lunara alive there, because Tassadar and the Anubarak combo was just so strong. Meanwhile, we've got 24% beacon progress on the side of FTD, and that was because Tanner was forced to rotate back up to the top lane. Meanwhile, Misha has been taken down, so down for a little bit, while Rek'Sai now has to do the dirty work himself. So you don't want to get too close to the man on Dahaka, because Darkspawn actually does a fair bit of damage. Meanwhile, back down in the bot lane, Tagiza, with this extended range, is just throwing out these poisons. Good Hammer of Justice from Helium into the Wave of Light, and Tagiza forces Holy Grail to take down the globe. Down in the bot lane, meanwhile, the beacons are being flipped. Misha is up there just to put the brakes on that one. Meanwhile, Valor gets dunked.
Yeah, so much damage coming out of this Lunara, and we're starting to see the power of this pick. I mean, we haven't really seen it over the course of the day. I've been wanting to see it much more. I mean, we see just how powerful it is when we get into these 4v4 matchups, and there's just so much.
Yarn in the top lane! Oh, geez, come up on the Muradin, and
nice.
Tanner utilizing the tongue. Good drag coming out. They're going to cap that one away from FTD, who are struggling a little bit now that they've lost that pressure in the top lane. This beacon's going to get nice and chunky for them. They need to either force a fight down onto the bottom or get somebody up there at the top. They're sending Holy Grail up by himself. This could be disastrous. Exhibit forces out his own Impale and the Entangling Roots combo, and Holy Grail just a little bit confused there, realizes, hang on a minute, I'm a Tassadar, I don't really have the sustainability, and they're going to give this beacon over. So Mad Cos Bad are going to get 100% against 24. This is a good start for them. They do have the level advantage as well, soon to be 2-level advantage, and they're in a good place at the moment, GL Phoenix.
Yeah, they're in a great position. They've even expended a lot of the ammunition on these towers on the bottom side of the map, so this Zerwave could very well just do a lot of damage to this fort. And I'm just looking at the wave clear coming out of FTD. The Valor does have the multi-shot, which is kind of standard for this map, but we're going to have to be very careful with how they try and put this defense up, because as we've been seeing throughout this entire, I guess, laning phase, the Gazer on this Lunara has been outputting so much damage, as we see Exhibit taking so much.
He's a mage tank as well, Exhibit, so he needs to be careful to get too close. The shield's coming out from Holy Grail and the regrowth from Malfurion. The Sonic Storm isn't doing too bad in terms
Tanner
of
with the
clearing
flame.
away. Yeah, Tanner extremely deep there, utilizing that Brush Stalker, and in comes Entangling Roots, but they've taken so much damage. Lunara is a pest at this point, because not only can she deal damage, she creates that zoning effect, makes space for the team, and that just disables FTD's wave clear because of that extended rage, because of that leap. And it's just, when I say leap, I mean movement distance. Hasn't gone for the talent just yet, but that's what Lunara can bring to the team.
Yeah, just that little bit of extra, that gate to a walk, essentially.
Yeah.
She just bounds along, and it's really, if you can really get that attack animation down and being able to weave in those attacks, because that's one thing when you start playing out as Lunara, and one thing that you first try and get used to is auto-attacking with her really weird animations, especially with the way that she moves.
Yeah.
Being able to dart in and out with that, and also output as much damage as possible. It's a nice tongue drag onto Misha. She will be going down real easily.
Mish Kebab in the top lane, so poor old Yarn is now forced without his beloved companion for a while we get that one to come up. The Swift Sweep goes out, but as Rexar, if you're going for that Animal Husbandry build, which he is, he does have Crippling Talons. So Swoop does actually find a little bit of value, but not as much when Niche is not up. You need to be stacking up the Animal Husbandry. Rexar has not fallen as yet, I believe, so there's no frags, no deaths on the side of FTD. So the longer Rexar stays alive, the more health that Misha gets. Doesn't matter how long she dies. But you can see her now jumping in. The heal's coming out. Men Pet is just so good onto Misha. But there's no really capitalization coming in from either of these teams. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Tanner on the Dahaka. He's looking at a spawn timer on the bench. There were 3 big, bad FTD players all up in his grill, and they sent him back. And meanwhile, it looks like they're going to trade towers here. All G on the Muradin, just taking it to Misha. Mad Cos Bad, meanwhile, they're focused squarely on this fortification, this turret, and they're going to take it. They will trade towers in the top and bottom lane. This game is still anybody's to take, GLP, but it's level 10. Well, now level 11 on the side of Mad Cos Bad. Still no talent tier advantage. 1 level, there's not much in it at all.
Absolutely, there's absolutely nothing in it right now. That was a really good trade coming in for FTD. They were behind when it came to the heroic timings, and they had to be very cautious with how they played around the map, but when you end up trading, if you're behind, it's favorable for the team that is behind, because, hey, you're getting even things, essentially, when you should be at a disadvantage. So very nicely done there for FTD, and now they are starting to be a little bit more proactive, a little bit more bold in their movements around the map. They are going to be holding on to the top side, while they still have to, well, actually, they still have to deal with that mercenary camp on the top wave. But they will have a lot of control on the top side, while Mad Because Bad control the bottom.
Speaking of mercenary camps as well, it looks as though the Hellbats are now being taken by Mad Cos Bad, so they've got pressure in both the lanes, cleaning up their side of the map, and good old FTD answer with some Hellbats of their own up top. Oracle forced out from Holy Grail, just gives his team a little bit of vision. Now, in goes Misha, good burrow charge, great Cocoon and Impale. Force Wall comes out from Holy Grail on Tassadar. It was Todd Killer who was in It was Todd Diller who was in the cocoon, and as soon as he came out, he popped the Twilight Dream, and it was enough to secure the kill. Oriel is down, but they still do have Helium on the Uther. Now Exhibit, again, burrowing his way through, finds Tanner, but the Force Wall is cut off Lunara. Oh, get dunked upon, son. FTD executing with precision there. And he blames the lag. I don't know about that. I was actually coming out from FTD, so two kills picked up from FTD. They're back into this game. It's now 3v2 in terms of kills in their favor, and this is what they need.
Absolutely. Now that they've started to get a bit of a headwind, they're starting to push forward, and that was an incredible engagement to that fight. Managing to isolate that Oriel, managing to silence her immediately as she came out of that Crystal of Aegis, meant that they were not able to get any of that healing out. And that's a lot of what we need to see from this FTD lineup. They need to pick apart one of those key members, and then the rest of the team will crumble. But we have a great counter engagement.
Good Stormbolt coming out there, finds Keen, but Cocoon comes out again. It's good to see that Cocoon doesn't really have a huge cooldown. Good Rain of Vengeance coming out from Keen. Meanwhile, Beacons have gone in favor down the bot lane with Yarn on the Rexar and his beloved Misha capping those Beacons. We're at 50%. This still could go any way, but if you get it over 50% GLP, you'd be pretty happy, regardless if you lose it or not. If you got the wave clear to deal with that Zerg wave pushing into you, 50% is still decent to have on your side.
Yeah, it's a serviceable amount of Zerg. I mean, anything is better than 0%, I guess. You've got a nice amount stacked up in there. You've got a few Hydras, a couple of Ultras, a whole bunch of Zerglings. They can do a bit of damage if left unchecked, but now we're just getting into that part of the game where both teams are just... It's very Dragon Shy-esque, where you're just rotating... you just... doing a bit of...
they do the dance.
Yeah, they do the dance, the ring around the rosy. You go top, we go bot, you go bot, we go top. And this will go on until someone gets caught out, which could end up just opening up the map completely. And I think the big key hero in this situation is going to be Tanner on this Dahaka. He's the one who's got the most ability to drag the opposing team around the map with that global presence, with the Broadstalker, but he's having to be very careful, because if he overextends and gets caught out, that is when, as we saw at the previous time, that is when we start to see things really start to blow out of proportion.
Still 30 seconds on the Hellback camp on the side of Mad Cos Bad, but here goes Exhibit. He's gone too deep and gets stunlocked. Oh, see you later. Well done. The Mad Cos Bad lads capitalised. Good Twilight Dream coming out there from Malfurion, silencing everybody, but Keen's going to go down. Oh, but the shields from Tassadar are good. Carla's Light doing the work. Now the drag onto Malfurion. This is where Mad Cos Bad come back hard. Yeah, I was going to say before, if anybody's going to get caught out, it'll be Mad Cos Bad, because those force balls from Tassadar. And there goes Rexar and all of Misha's HP.
Yeah, he was stacked up to about 400 at that point, but that is all down the drain. And now we do have both beacons in favor of Mad because Bad, and now with all this extra position, they're going to be able to get this boss, and this is going to be a massive push coming out for Mad because Bad. An incredible fight, restabilized. They were starting to lose grip a little bit, but a little bit of an overextension by that Anubarak allowed them to get that fight going on the right foot, and it was an incredible fight for them. And they're in a good position to push this all the way through this keep.
That's the funny thing about Braxis. He can turn on a dime, and now FTD, who did have the advantage for the majority of this game, have now had it turn on their heads. Mad Cos Bad getting the majority Zerg, getting the boss as well. Odin going into the top lane with a full Zerg rush as well. They timed that one to perfection. It's not like the Zerg rush was down the bottom and the Odin up top. No, it's all coming hard and fast in the top lane. Look at Odin do its work. So much damage being poured out from these teams.
Lunara damage as well. Look at that. Kane is already dropped below half. He's not able to get forward to heal himself up with those Tassadar shields. His mission just gets absolutely demolished.
Yeah, Dahaka in the bot lane as well, so he's forced to deal with that Merc camp. Rain of Vengeance coming out into the Force Wall. This could be where FTD turn it around. Good heals forcing out the Avatar from OG. Exhibit goes in. Another Rain of Vengeance. 2 charges now being used. Divine Shield being popped onto Oriel. Will they take down the frontline tank? They will, but the boss is still carving them up behind them on the back line. Will they get to Giza? Crystal Aegis comes out on top of the Force Wall into the Ray of Hope.
Still living.
There's so much healing coming out the way of Tegiza at the moment. They want him there. Finally, they're going to get Jester as well. FTD answer back. They crawl back the experience, but the boss is still on the core. It's not going to do too much damage. Won't pop the shields, Nevertheless, FTD are now back into the game. Mad Cos Bad just staying a little bit too long.
Yeah, they stuck around a little bit too long. They did manage to get that keep, so that is going to be a nice point of pressure, and even a win condition should the next fight go incredibly in their favor. But this is also giving room for FTD to paint the map red. They're still going to be waiting a little bit for the next beacon, as they did manage to clear out the wave. As throughout all of that, Tanner on that Tahaka was just holding onto that wave, and if he had come in, maybe it could have helped out in that fight, but then again, maybe if he had came in, that Zergway would have been pushing in and could have opened up a potential win condition for FTD on the bottom side of the map.
Yarn split pushing as Rexar up in the top. Now he decides to come down because there's Hellbats up there doing work for him. He needs to rejoin his team. Holy Grail, just OG throwing out a random Storm Bolt, hoping to catch somebody out. The rotation is on. I love the Mecha Tassadar skin when he just turns into a gliding plane. It's fantastic to watch. Now the Oracle coming out. They do have the cannon minions, the catapults, if you will, coming out from the Mad Cos Bad lads. But FTD are just making sure that they can shove that lane as hard as possible. But Mad Cos Bad, they want an engage, but good entangling roots, stopping what would have been a disastrous engage.
Yeah, we've been seeing that all game long. Tanner trying to come in with those flanking engagements. We've seen them work quite well for the most part. That one was just a little bit out of position and end up just getting funneled with the rest of the team and getting locked down by that entangling roots, as you mentioned. So then that's going to be one of the tools that's going to be unavailable for just a little bit. And now we're coming into the next beacon phase. That could be quite important. That Brushstalker is one of those tools that gets really important when you start to do this dance around the map. And now he's on the other side of the map and he doesn't have the most efficient way of getting into the rest of the team just yet.
Just going to trade beacons, as we've seen so often in this map, to start things off. Tahaka down the bottom, that's Tanner. He can Brushstalk up once it's available. Should he decide to use it, I mean, he's down where he needs to be at the moment, because FTD will want to be hunting for this beacon. They need to come down. They need the next Zerg wave. It'll be down, it's actually in the top lane, so that will counter any negative effect that the Zerg wave from Mad Cos Bad would have done. Misha now trying to get his way onto that beacon. OG misses the Storm Ball, but it's enough to deter the push. Meanwhile, the rotation is coming from top from FTD.
Yeah, and this is going to be the start of the dance yet again. We do have that mercenary camp on the top side, but because there's the cannon pressure, it should be able to deal with that wave without too much of a problem. But
Force Wall!
Force Wall does isolate OG, but all sides as Tanner gets into the back line.
Too deep. He's way too deep, and now he's forced to burrow away. The Force Wall has cut Exhibit off from his team. Needs to burrow charge underneath it. It's not available. Avatar comes out from OG. This kill could go anybody's way. Holy Grail taking a lot of damage there on the Tassadar. Force Wall separates the entire team away from the front line from Mad Cos Bad. This beacon is still anybody's. The heals are so good from Mad Cos Bad. They take down a Nubarak, and they're getting out-healed at the moment. They're not necessarily getting outplayed, out-rotated. It's just the heals from the supports from Mad Cos Bad are winning them these engages. And now to Giza trying to take down Holy Grail. Yeah, they need to get this chase on. Will the drag come out? Over the Force Wall! That I have not seen before. Nonetheless, it's enough. Detainment strike into the wall. See ya, son. And Mad Cos Bad will be licking their lips at that engage. Now they're going to mop up the beacons, potentially take the boss as well. But there is still 3 up on the side of FTD. Yeah. A steal is still on the cards here, but they're thinking about it. They're going to do it.
Yeah, boss could be very risky. We saw in the preseason how this can go from okay to just absolutely horrendous. So this could be a bit of a risk. And it looks like the members of FTD do want to try and contest this, but this is going to be a bit of a risky one because this boss can do a lot of damage. We're seeing Tanner taking a lot of damage from it. And the Giza is going to have to put in a lot of work just to get a lot of the hope for the Oriole. And they want to get that engaged. The Nubarak has gone in.
Oh, Exhibit had to go, but no, he was forced off it, and the boss is now being capped by Mad Cos Bad. That was close. Twilight Dream comes out from Tool Dealer, and I think this could be the win condition. The Zerg is all in favor of Mad Cos Bad. Malfurion is down. Valor falls as well. Tassadar, the only one left, he's saying, oh no, not like this. The boss in the bottom lane with a full Zerg rush. Granted, they still have to go through a fort, but their spawn timers are getting chunky at 19 minutes in. This could be it.
This could very well be it. There's not a hell of a lot that Holy Grail can do on his own as the Tassadar. Yeah, the Side Storm can help out, but not against a full 5-man shoving onto the claw with that Odin, with that massive Zerg wave. And it was a bit of a back and forth affair. had some very exciting moments, but it is going to go over to Mad Because Bad, and they end up the night 4-0.
I would be impressed with that. It doesn't matter who you are. If it's your first week into any competition and you go through undefeated, you are knocking on the door of the big boys. And now they will have that opportunity to go up against Darksider, to go up against Nomiya, to Crimson. They are a surprise packet. I think they're going to be ones to watch this season.
Absolutely. They've got, as was said throughout it, they've got the big names. It's just a matter of putting that into a cohesive unit. They have the talent, and we'll have to see how they go when we get to the playoffs next week. They will be on the lower bracket as the way this whole system works, but very interested to see how they end up going as we get through this season.
So we have to pick an MVP now, Geo Phoenix. 13-6 in terms of the kill feed. I cannot take my eyes off the two supports for Mad Cause Bad. It's between Helium on Uther and Jester on Oriel. Now, granted, Oriel can deal out so much more healing, which you can see here, almost 100k. But Helium was able to get those clutch heals off. He saved all G at least once, to Giza at least twice. So I'm torn. I'm going to give this one to you.
Yeah, it's a real tough one because, as I was saying, that unit only really works when they're all there together. If one of those pieces is out of the way, you start to see it crumble. If the Lunara is down or is just isolated for some reason or another, there's no damage. And because there's no damage, there's not necessarily the same output of healing. But that Helium on that Uther, as you mentioned, was getting those clutch ones at the right times and was just so instrumental on that front line. So I believe going to Helium is going to be the way we're going to end this night off.
I am completely content with that. So well done to Mad Cause Bad, picking up the victory over the previously undefeated FTD. And we're just waiting for more results to come in, ladies and gentlemen, to see who qualifies, to see if we might even need a tiebreaker round 2. So for now, I'm going to pass you back over to your faithful host, Crisis.
Hey everyone, thanks for sticking with us through the night. So we got a couple of things just to wrap things up. The first one is I've got to do a couple of shout outs. I keep meaning to do this and then we run out of time. Shout out to Bob Coach who subscribed tonight. So fantastic. Thanks for the support, dude. And a shout out to Nuck who subscribed last month and has resubscribed this month. So that's 2 months. And he dropped a 1,000 bit cheer tonight. So in celebration of the 00 or the timer that was still on screen. So shout out to you, Nuck. Thanks for the support. Now we're waiting for one match to complete, and that is Roles Unspecified versus Capital. And just having a look at things, I don't think it's going to have, or it might have an impact, because we're going to have a multi-way tie for the 4th spot on the bracket. So we're going to stick around. We're not going to end the broadcast just yet. We'll do the draw, but we may well have a 5th match to break the tie. So let me just head on over to my little machine over here to do the tying, to do the drawing thing. Here we go. Draw the raffle. And Arrowfart, who has a fantastic name and is a follower, has picked up the win. So sorry, Pain Dog, you don't win this time. He's won like 2 weeks in a row or something like that. So congratulations to Arrowfight. ! Discord in chat. That'll give you our Discord details. Jump onto Discord and send me a PM and I will sort you out after the stream is done with that final, with that Stukov skin. So let's hop on over to the bracket. Get that up on screen for you so that you can see what the situation is. We have a certain top 3. Mad Because Bad. In fact, let me show you the standings. That'll be the better one for you to see for now. So there you go. You got the standings on screen now. Mad Because Bad finished with the 4-0 tonight. FTD with the 3-1. Milkshake tied with a 3-1 themselves. But we don't need to break that tie. They are through into the qualifiers. And then we've got a 3-way tie with Onyx Esports, Ground Zero, and Team DC. And that's going to become a 4-way tie because Roles Unspecified and Capital, who are each on 1 win apiece, will also, one of them is going to pick up another win. So they will go 2-2. So we'll have a 4-way tie, and that means we're going to need to play the tiebreaker. So stick around, everyone. We will be right back with that final match, whatever it's going to be. We'll announce what it's going to be and bring it to you as well to break the tie right here on GameStar TV.